On the early hours of 30th July 2024, Kerala experienced a tragedy in terms of the massive landslide which resulted into loss of life of more than 200 people. Myself, Laxmikant, and my colleague Sumanjeet Kaur are going to discuss here about this particular landslide, what had actually happened there, what are the causes, and the vulnerability of Kerala, particularly the Wayanad district, and the measures that needs to be taken to deal with this particular disaster. So first of all, let me talk about this particular disaster that has happened. I will give you a brief idea about the developments. On the early hours or morning 2 a.m., the landslide started on 30th of July in Wayanad district of Kerala. What had actually happened there is the Iruvajinji river that flows as a tributary of Chaliyar river overflown because of intense rainfall in less amount of time during 30th July as well as 29th of July. The villages Mundakai, Churalmala and Attamala, all three villages were swept away in this landslide and the consequent flooding of Iruvajinji river and Chaliyar river. Ecologist Madhav Gadgil has called this particular incident as a man-made tragedy.
If I remember, this is the same panel which in 2011 itself, while submitting the report, had emphasized that there would be such kind of tragedies if we are not able to conserve the ecosystem. And he had rightly pointed out that the man-made causes that would be attributing to such incidents. So sir, how would you analyze this Wayanad incident in that context?
Yes, let us first try to understand the specific reasons regarding this particular landslide. So, on the 29th of July and 30th of July, there was intense rainfall. If you talk about the amount of rainfall, it was more than 500 mm within 48 hours. Yes. And because of that, this Iruvajinji river and Chaliyar river were overflowing. This, along with that, the soil in that region basically is very, we can say that sedimentary kind of thing, and unconsolidated deposits are there, and that resulted into a kind of effect called as soil piping effect. Soil piping basically is a phenomenon which is happening because of when the water is flowing as a subsurface flow. Okay. And unconsolidated soil, weathered soil is lying above it. What happens is there is large pores created within that soil, and the water starts flowing through those large pores. Okay. And when these large pores are connected with each other, a pipe-like conduit or a tunnel is created. When such large amount of rainfall happens, this huge amount of water flows as a subsurface flow, and the soil which is lying above it and whatever the structures that we have built above it, they will also flow along that, and that's why there is always possibility of landslide in such kind of events.
Okay, sir. Sir, what about the role of the plantations?
Yes.
It is said that the plantation, the monoculture tradition which is followed there, that is also highly...
Yes, that is true, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Talking about the other reasons, if we say the monoculture, that is the kind of cropping pattern followed there, is problematic. Since let's say British time period itself, the tea plantations were introduced in that region, and this was continued after independence also till the date. That resulted into deforestation, that is the native forest was cleared and the tea plantations. Now the tea plantations or the tea, that is a very, we can say, small crop, it is not able to hold the soil as compared to the native trees of that region, and the soil over the period was loosened. That was one of the, we can say that reason, we can say the monocropping that is followed there. But this is not the only reason, ma'am. We can say that the other reasons, like human, let's say, made infrastructure, especially the construction activities, be it road construction or the hotels, or even let's say artificial lakes are being constructed, as it is one of the major tourism hotspot in that region. I believe there is Min Mutti waterfall there,
Yes,
and in
I
that
have heard
region,
of that. Yes,
and
yes.
there is huge, let's say, tourist footfall during monsoon time period to visit these waterfalls.
Okay, so we can also sum up that since the tourism load is too much here, the mining, the unsustainable construction is
Yes.
going on, so that is all making this region even more vulnerable.
Yes.
The exposure, the amount of, the number of casualties that
Yes.
increase.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Along with that, let's say the climate change is also to be blamed in long-term aspect, we can say. Geographically speaking, if we say, the Arabian Sea is experiencing the heat waves. The overall temperature or sea surface temperature of Arabian Sea is increasing, and Wayanad district is only 80 kilometers away from the coastal region. And what is happening there is due to increased warming, it is carrying more moisture, and there is always scope for intense rainfall because of deep clouds formation there.
Okay, sir, what exactly are these deep clouds? Does it refer to some kind of the nature of the clouds?
Yes, these are basically the cumulonimbus clouds only.
Okay.
But because of excessive heating and more moisture availability, the convective clouds which are formed here, they are having more amount of moisture availability with them. Okay, that result into torrential rainfall. And there is orographic rainfall. Of course, there is mountain, and of course there is climbing of all the winds, and there is orographic rainfall that is natural to that region.
So Wayanad is located in the windward side of the
Yes,
Western Ghats.
yes.
And because of the climate change, this rainfall was further intensified, it was heavier. And I think also because of the inaccurate predictions regarding
Yes,
the
ma'am. Yes.
rainfall, so this intensified to a level which was not even
That is also true, ma'am.
yes.
The unreliable weather forecasting, we will talk about that in vulnerable limitations of, we can say, the machinery of disaster management. But let me tell you that the IMD, that is India Meteorological Department, had issued the orange alert there. But orange alert, more than, let's say, orange alert limit, rainfall was
observed
there. So that means somehow the reliability is questioned here, right?
sir.
So these are some of the reasons. Like quarrying is also one of the reasons, but although the quarrying has been abandoned there, but the long-term impact of earlier, let's say, actions,
The degradation which has
yes,
already occurred,
done,
that is now being
somehow
witnessed.
the impact is also
Visible
observed.
now. True.
Right. So after understanding the causes and the impact of this landslide, let us throw the light upon the vulnerability, because this is the main aspect, and time and again, let's say, expert panels have highlighted the vulnerability of this region, but despite of that, let's say, no action has been taken. So can you explain us about the vulnerability of this particular region to landslides?
Yes, sure, sir. According to the Geological Survey of India, overall, if we see across India, there are three major hotspots where the landslides take place: the northwestern Himalayas, the northeastern Himalayas, and the Western Ghats.
Yes.
And overall, 12.6% of the geographical area of India is vulnerable to landslides.
Okay.
And if we come to the state of Kerala, Wayanad is the 13th most vulnerable district throughout India, which is susceptible to the incidents of landslides.
Okay.
And 40% of Wayanad district alone,
40%?
yes, 40% is prone to the landslide.
Okay, that is too much.
Yes,
Right.
and since 2018, these incidents have become even more severe. The scale, the magnitude of these incidents has increased. And like you have pointed out, that climate change is to be one of the major attributable factors here. So if I can recall that in 2017, because of the marine heat waves which were observed in the Arabian Sea, there was this cyclone Oki.
Yes,
And
cyclone
as a
Oki.
consequence, there was very heavy rainfall, and there was this incident of landslide in this region observed at that time also. And on a similar scale, I think at a bigger than that, we have observed the casualties here in Wayanad right now also.
Right. I believe that the landslide in 2018 in Thrissur and Wayanad district were also we can say the major incident of landslide in
Yes.
recent past?
Yes. Between 2018 and 2020, the many small and big scale landslides have taken place, and particularly in the
This region
regions.
only.
Yes, in this particular region only.
Right.
And it is said that the southwest monsoon, it has become highly unpredictable, it has become erratic, and within a short span of time the intensity of rainfall that is increasing, and it is also seen in case of the retreating monsoon. Even in 2021 a landslide of similar nature occurred because of the northeast monsoon.
Okay. Right.
And we have the incident right now which we are analyzing, and that the sheer magnitude of the loss of the life and the property, that is so much huge here.
I believe that it's not only life, loss and life, ma'am. The survivors of this region, they will feel the long-term mental trauma also.
Yes, the
Now this
psychological
is being called as the climate trauma.
climate
The mental health impact of such kind of climate change induced events. So yes, those let's say UPC students, you have to understand and you have to let's say use such kind of terms in your answers. You have to broaden your dimensions also while writing answers. हम disaster का लिखते हैं तो limiting to loss of life, property and all these things. But you have to also understand the impact on the mental health of the people because of such incidences. Now, despite of knowing the vulnerability, what steps Kerala government specifically and Indian government has taken in that region? Can you enumerate those initiatives?
Yes, sure, sir. Following the 2018 tragedy of the landslide in the state of Kerala, Government of India and the state government have taken various initiatives in this regard to prevent such kind of disasters and the happenings in future. So we'll begin with the National Landslide Susceptibility Mapping Program of the Geological Survey of India, which is the nodal agency for the landslide mapping in India. So through this program, it has begun the exercise of creating a database regarding the regions which are most susceptible to the incidents of landslides, and this has also encouraged the ISRO to come up with its Landslide Atlas of India, according to which between 1998 to 2022, more than 80,000 incidents of landslides have taken place throughout the country. The major hotspots being the state of Kerala, Arunachal Pradesh, and some regions of Himachal and Uttarakhand. So recently, the Ministry of Mines has inaugurated the National Landslide Forecasting Center at the Geological Survey of India's campus, which is located in Kolkata. Along with that, to improve the dissemination of the early warnings and the alerts to the local administration and the communities, it has also launched the Bhusanket web portal and the Bhusanklan mobile app. So these are very significant measures which are going to help in the pre-disaster preparedness, so that the timely evacuation of the people can take place and the losses can be minimized. Further, the state government of Kerala in 2014, it formed the Institute for the Climate Change Studies, so that the localized weather prediction models can be created and the landslides or the other mishaps like the floods can be reduced. The Kerala government has also come up with the eco-restoration policy, which is a big initiative with regard to ensuring that there is climate relevant infrastructure, the climate relevant policies within the state, and this policy majorly focuses on the removal of the monoculture plantations, and instead it aims to promote the native vegetation, the native species, and besides the advanced technologies for the forest management will be promoted. So these are some of the major initiatives which have been taken. Okay. So sir, having seen that we have such measures in place, still the incidents of landslides and the magnitude of the losses, that is not still, it has not been able to be reduced so far. Right. So what do you think are the limitations and what measures should be taken?
Right. The first and foremost limitation, or we can say that challenge at present we have, is having a reliable warning system, or we can say that weather forecasting and early warning system. Like earlier we were talking about how IMDs forecasting was basically wrong
Inaccurate.
in this
right.
particular situation. It was inaccurate. And on the morning 6 o'clock of 30th April, they gave red alert.
Okay. So
Earlier
I
it
think
was
by that
orange
time
alert.
already the landslide
Yes, by
had
the time
occurred.
already a landslide had occurred and flooding was there. So
Okay.
this is how the inaccurate, let's say, and the unreliable forecasting that we have, especially we can say that related to local weather conditions. Maybe they are able to forecast the broader aspects of rainfall and the range, but the specific particular location, what will be the particular forecast and the warning system, that has not been accurate and reliable. And unless and until we don't have such kind of forecasting, the decision makers or the policy makers and the administrators will not be able to mobilize the resources to manage any unforeseen event that may happen because of such kind of intense rainfall. Second important limitation is basically there is at present no mapping of flow of that landslide.
Okay.
Like this landslide happened, there was mapping of landslide prone area of this particular region. But how this landslide will flow in the downstream direction, up to which level, location it will flow, that has not been mapped. And that's why the villages like Chural Mala, they have not been considered as a part of vulnerable for this disaster.
Okay.
So that aspect is one of the area that further needs to have research.
Okay. So micro level hazard mapping is very important.
Yes, micro level hazard mapping and planning, and we can say that especially related to this aspect, flow of path of landslides, flow path of landslides. This is very specific point that you should know. The other aspects is related to we can say the economy of this region completely depends on these tea and coffee plantations, and along with that the tourism aspect. Many of the tourist hotspots are located in this region, and especially during monsoon time period, many people visit these regions. And coffee cultivation second highest in Kerala, and it has been recently reported that because of such rainfalls and landslides, there will be a decline in coffee production this year from this region. So, when the economy is dependent on such activities, there is pressure on the government from the locals because their livelihood is dependent on it, and that's why the government itself faces this challenge or the dilemma whether to protect the environment and indirectly protect the people, or first on the first hand protect the livelihood of the people.
Right.
So this challenge remains. And that's why, let's say, the Kerala government was at the forefront to oppose the report that was given by Western Ghats Ecological Expert Committee headed by Madhav Gadgil. Okay. But somehow they did not listen to this report, and now somehow the livelihood of these people got impacted. So indirectly it is impact on economy only, but long-term impact we can say. Fine.
So what is the solution to this, sir?
Yes, we need
to find a balanced solution so that both the aspects can be taken care of.
Right. So yes, the solution lies in the preparedness rather than we can say that mitigation or let's say patchwork to deal with such kind of disasters or firefighting approach. So the first and foremost aspect I would say is we need to have the state-wide micro-level landslide hazard zoning or mapping we can say. This will have the micro-level planning. This will help in micro-level planning in dealing with these landslides.
Okay.
Right, first aspect. The second important aspect is the prediction of monsoon rainfall needs to be more accurate.
Okay.
And especially the states like Kerala, Karnataka, which receives every year more than 200 centimeter rainfall, they need to have the local climate and weather variables included in those models.
Climate models.
So that the specific weather forecasting can be done and the warning can be disseminated.
Okay.
This is very important aspect. Thereafter, there is also need to declare some of these areas as eco-sensitive zones and no development zones, as has been suggested by Madhav Gadgil report and further by Kasturi
Kasturi
Ranjan
Ranjan.
committee also. Like Kasturi Ranjan committee had watered down the complete, let's say, extreme approach by Madhav Gadgiri report, and they had said that 37% of overall Western Ghats area can be declared as eco-sensitive zone, which is pragmatic solution.
Pragmatic, true. That
Right,
can
it is
be done.
implementable,
It should
and
be
the
implemented.
states should actually adopt this. Now is the time to adopt this, unless it is too much of, we can say, late. Further, what needs to be done is regulation of human activities, especially related to land use change. Further, forest diversion to non-forest use should be completely stopped. Along with that, the polluting activities and the land destabilizing activities like construction or land leveling or even quarrying or any kind of mining should be completely banned in that region. Even the large hydro project should not be undertaken in that particular area. So land use changes needs to be regulated strictly in that region. And finally, there is also need of restoration of flora and ecosystem of that region. There is need of afforestation measure, creation of mini forest that has been highlighted in the Kerala's eco restoration policy of 2021, as you were mentioning. Right. So such kind of measures. Along with that, let's say there is also need to emphasize that let's say rehabilitation of people from that region to much safer areas. ठीक है, कोई भी इंसिडेंट होने से पहले ही अगर उनको रिहैबिलिटेट करते हैं विथ एडिक्वेट लेट्स से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड लाइवलीहुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज, then it will reduce the loss of life, which is very very important in this, let's say, such kind of natural disasters. So fine, thank you everyone, and you can ask any question if you have related to this topic in the comment box. If you like the video, share with your friends and subscribe to Lukmaan IAS channel to receive such kind of videos further. Thank you.